us on your TV. Because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
And radio is a good thing. The Old Tube Radio Network beaconing your way. 13th day of the third month, 2021. Channel 11 is where we are at on the Real Thing Radio, the RF part. OldTubeRadio.net for your audio pleasure. And I think there might even be a YouTube stream that is up or running somewhere. Welcome to the Old Tube Radio Network. An association of people who are interested in Old Tube Radio Network, or Old Tube Radios. We call it the Old Tube Radio Network, not a club, just a voluntary association of people. There are no dues, there's no secret handshake, and anyone can participate, radio or not. We'll be checking in with our SWL shortly. My name is Dennis, one of the many net controllers that has been sitting in the air chair here for these many years. So welcome if this is your first episode. Hopefully you will hear something that reminds you of the days that you forgot for Old Tube Radio, or maybe you are new to Citizen Band Radio and you just want to find out what those old radios sounded like and what they looked like. And we will be helping you out with that. I know there are a lot of stations. It is the official changing of the clocks for most states, for most people. So I will keep an eye out if you need to, for those listeners or stations that are out of the West Coast here that need to jump out early. I'll make sure that if you've left a note or something, I will get you checked in somewhere. So don't worry about that. Let's start with our roll call. I think I've got everything set up the way it should be. We'll see if we've got 00 somewhere. Over.
00, checking in, Dennis.
Checking in and sounding good. I'm looking for my official pen. I guess I can't use the sponsor one until we do the tube radio. So here, this one I think is working because I got to put the X in the square. All right, we are off and running. Thanks, Jim. We'll catch you at the end of the roll call. SWL number 1. One of the guys that got this stuff started ever so long ago with the virtual check-in for Dr. J. SWL number 2. Another station out there that decided, when you have 10 pounds of good modulation on the Browning Golden Eagle, you should have a place to check it in. I'm going to give OBP a proxy check-in tonight. For some reason, I have no space on the desk for everything I need to do. The J38 key, the 2 mice, the keyboard, all the paperwork, my notepad. And it looks like the dinner napkin, so we'll put that over there, out of the camera range. SWL number 3 getting a proxy check in for Rob. Over to SWL 4. SWL number 5. SWL 6. SWL 7.
SWL 7 checking in.
Sounding good. Didn't know if we were going to be in the neighborhood tonight, but you definitely are, and got you checked in.
Thank you.
Then we will head over to SWL 10, which takes me to the board over on the video side. Let me see who's out there. I see Chrissy is in, saying hello to all our stations out there tonight, so I will get you checked in from Idaho. You and Dwayne. Also, let's see, I see the note on 21 and 57 will get you checked in. Same way with 147. So I see Paul V is in. Dave is in listening. Not in the Radio Shack tonight, but Yeah, I got to remember, the bad back thing happens here. I got to remember to sit up in my chair. I've got all sorts of cushions and things to keep me running. And Dave, we are, can you see it up here tonight? Let me go to the cameras only. We have the TechStar up and running. You can see all the flashing lights. So it should give us some decent audio with the Gentner TechStar, whatever it's called. This is the Gentner version of the Prism item of interest. So 10 is checked in. Thank you, Chrissy. SWL 13, Mr. Cobra, and I will refresh over at oldtuberadio.net. There are various and sundry ways to get checked in. You just have to wait for net control to actually see them. But I will eventually find you if you are out there. SWL 14. SWL 16, that's Charlie out there in Anoka, Minnesota. And he's in tonight down there, up there in the front row. Well, actually, they're not in the front row. They're down in like this orchestra pit thing, throwing me cues. And when a cable goes bad, making sure that I don't they're making sure I don't wreck the show. That's Charlie and Chet. Let's go over to SWL 17.
Good evening, Dennis and Annette. SWL 17 checking in.
Got to get my S meter back on. Boy, Eric is running the big iron tonight. So you fans of the Eagles, you may be able to be the #1 heard radio tonight. Looks like we've got at least one fired up. You're sounding good, Eric. We got you checked in. SWL 18, I've got a note to check in or get a proxy check in from Mr. KDA from the Facebook side. And SWL 19, up there in Derby, New York, although it's still showing Belfast. I guess that's going to be like that for a while. Chet was in early. In fact, he was here before I was. The door was open. He had everything unlocked and ready to go. Thanks, Chet. I got everything set up here, and I don't smell smoke. At least the bad kind. I think they're doing something over in the green room tonight. We will find out during the Bob and Steve show. And I see the boys from BC are up in the balcony. It looks like they've got the charcoal fired up. Let's go over to SWL 20. I think he is around. He may be listening on a delay, so have him chime in 20 time. We got a proxy check-in for SWL 21. Taking the evening off. Sometimes you got to do that. Tend to some personal business and just to take a breath of fresh air. So we miss you, JT, when you don't hang out on the old radio night, but I know how it is. Sometimes 365 days a year, you got to take that 1 or 2 days off. So we got you checked in, and we will catch you next week. Over to SWL 22. SWL 23. Did I see the 23 Skidoo? Yeah, checking in from, where are you at? Watsonville, at an archaeological dig at the old SBE headquarters. I'm just reading this for the first time. At the old SBE headquarters, hoping to unearth forgotten radios. And as he says, what's in your yard? So, I have found various buried treasures before in digging gardens and something like that. And you find something, you think, man, if I knew this was here, it would be good. I don't know if I've ever found a radio. So hopefully we'll have some reports back of the Tyrannosaurus tram or something like that. Got you checked in, Mitch, and don't get your hands too dirty tonight. Over to SWL 24. And Captain Robert is in, still recuperating. Looks like you are heading up the ladder the right way. Now, sometimes it's 2 steps up and 1 step back, but as long as you are going up the ladder, that is a good thing. Let's go over to SWL 25. Oh, and getting a proxy. I got to check in for 25. He is playing tonight with the band. Good to hear that the band is back and that venues are opening up. He checked in last night on the Ditch Banks sideband at 36 lower, 8 p.m. Pacific, whatever time. Said he would be playing tonight, so we got you checked in, Jerry. Let's go over to SWL 27. And don't hear anything on the crossband. Let's try SWL 20.
Well, it gets to be where you know somebody's voice, but when you know somebody's ping, that's pretty good. Yeah, I guess I forgot what time it was. Check me in, number 20, along with 29 and 54, and proxy us in, I guess, next week if I don't make it back.
Okay, got you in this week. Yeah, for net controllers actually have to pass a test. We've had many net controllers over the years, but we do have to go through a test. Know how to tune the radio and be on frequency and all this stuff. But you also have to have that ear to know the ping or the key up or the key down or whatever. So I did not. I will shamefully admit, I did not get 100% on my test, but I try to do as good as I can. We've got you checked in, and you are sounding good.
All righty. We'll catch you after a while.
Okay, who else is on? Prospect, Connecticut, Jim. Jim M. is in there. Hello, Jim. Sounding good, looking good tonight. Hope you had a chance to get on the air, whatever frequencies you get on. Oh, by the way, we're coming up to SWL 30. I've got something to talk to those Idaho stations about. SWL 28. Let's try 27 again. All right, I do have I can turn the volume up on the crossband. It is up. And over to SWL 28. I saw Gary in there. Let me scroll up. Where did you go? Oh, hi, everyone. SWL 28 checking in. Ready for a Grammy-worthy show. I am, too. It's just we need that Grammy award-winning host to step into the air chair here. I don't know if that's going to happen or not tonight. Lost in Space. Danger, Will Robinson. That is... You know you're old when you saw the first episode of that. You didn't see the reruns. You actually saw the show as it came out. All right, Gary, we've got you X in the square. 5th week of our 8-week roster. Also putting in a proxy check-in for SWL 29, Mr. Loner. And an X in the square for Dwayne, RFI. It is the Idaho, or today, and I don't know if it's just today or it's all weekend. It was the Idaho QSO party going on. So there's a lot of stations from Idaho, calling Idaho. I heard somebody calling CQ Idaho. So getting those points. Hopefully you were handing out points today. Chrissy and Dwayne up there in Idaho. Next is SWL 31. I'm checking. Who's in? We've got up in the balcony, Brea, California. Hello to you. Tracy, California. Up a ways. Tracy, it was one of those spots, if we have some weird backscatter conditions or somebody's there with the 10,000 watts and the laser beam pointing down I-5, we might hear them from Tracy direct. The boys from Squamish are doing their thing, so grab a plate of food and join them up in the balcony. Get some of the stuff they're doing up there too. Dallas, Georgia, coming up to you. San Bernardino. Yeah, I was looking through my music today, and there was that famous Frank Zappa tune. Fairfax, Virginia, also coming up to you. Toll House, California, just around the corner. Woodland Park, Colorado, at the ready, waiting for the E-skip to come in. We get the report from Woodland Park. Anoka, Fresno, Canby, Oregon, coming up to you. Bill was in also helping out on the pre-test today, so that's why everything is working fine. Where are we going? Direct-to-net roll call. The tube radios are coming up after the roll call here. SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, Bozo Control. Honking the Proboscis, all the jingle singers, and whoever else may wander and needs to check in. We'll get you under 33 over to SWL 34. And Railroader and Little Toot should be in. And Kevin, I see you. OBP. I had a proxy check-in. People thinking, what is it? What's the proxy chicken? No, it's the X in the square is what we've got for Mr. OBP. I got to be careful. Sometimes I flip the mouse and my screens go away, and I don't know if I'm on the air or not. There's Jimmy. Hey, got you. 34. Checking into the Old Tube Radio Network and working on the Old Tube CB Radio Network, Righteous Radios. I had written down a list, and the paper wasn't big enough for all the Facebook sites that Jimmy oversees, but there are a lot of them out there that deal with CB radio, worldwide sidebanders, vintage tube CB radios, fans of Demco CB radio, vintage CB radio, 11-meter CB junkies, high-fidelity CB radio. Who does that one? I think it's Tony out there near Lawrence, Kansas. The CB Radio Connection, CB Radio Lounge, Antique CB Radio pre-1977. The list goes on. Rich Anderson and the group up there at CB Radio News. So welcome to any and all of you who will wander by here to the Old Tube Radio Network here on the West Coast. I know a lot of you have get on the air nights where you are at, and that's a cool thing. SWL 35, that's Mr. Bill. A gentleman and his crew, I should say, that were here in the Central Valley for a long time, Red Monkey Communications, and keeping us on the air, not only by distributing radios and antennas and parts and pieces, but also doing some repair work. A lot of the stations you hear may have at one time passed through up there, Red Monkey Communications. Hope it's warming up, Bill. And we are looking for you. We'll be looking for you when the bands open up. Talking about doing some stuff on 10 meters again, so might be able to hear you when the skip comes through. Next, we've got SWL 36. And Mitch, I've never been to. There's a couple here in Fresno to Popeye's Chicken, but if I was there, I would definitely be ordering the Proxy Chicken. No doubt I have a coupon, or a 2-for-1 deal, or maybe a 10-for-1 if it's as good as I think it might be. SWL 37. He was in earlier. Hopefully that set didn't blow up. Getting a proxy check in 37. SWL 38. SWL 39. SWL 40. Now my mouse isn't working. 40 was in earlier. I'll get him proxied in. Over to SWL 41. I think that's Road Dog. I believe he said he had to kick out early. I know a lot of stations might do that with the time change, especially those listening in different time zones. So we will make sure that we get you checked in. I will be going over the comment list. Make sure I get everybody checked in. Good evening, everyone. Has to get up early in the morning, so I'm going to have to check in. That's 57. We're looking for 507 out of New York. Okay, and 30 we got you. I know you're out there doing the Idaho QSO contest. SWL 42.
Yeah, let's proxy in 42 in the game.
Will do. Get the proxy checked in there. SWL 43. Hey, you're sounding good in Midtown Fresno. Glad to hear you beaconing the airwaves. All right. Thanks for tuning in what we call the Saturday Night Place to Be, your old tube radio network here on Channel 11, where the tubes will be glowing shortly. Stay tuned. Over to SWL 44. And 44 sounding good in Midtown. He sort of has to bend his signal around a hill to get down here. Otherwise, he beacons. He's our beacon to the mini grass and all parts north and south and the west. I don't know about going east, but he does the rest of the parts pretty well. Thanks, Ray. We got you checked in. SWL 45.
Oh, Dennis, hope you can hear me down there. 45.
I hear you just fine, and no problem tonight. Got a nice clear channel.
Yeah, you're sounding good too. Hope it stays that way.
We will see. Gonna have a time change next week, so it'll be a little bit brighter. Sometimes that means we could get some skip coming through. Got you checked in. 45 is in. SWL 46. And let's see. Oh, I see a note from Chet up there. 10-8 from Derby, New York, where it's 34 degrees outside and the snow is slowly melting. That is a good tongue twister to practice before I go on the air. The snow is slowly melting. It's nice and warm in the radio room, thanks to the glow of the gold tubes from the Cobra Cam 88. Awesome radio. We have a few that check in down here, and they always have broadcast quality audio. The radio is connected to a Turner Plus 2 desk microphonium, which he purchased new in 1975. I'm trying to think if I got a Plus 2. I do. I probably also purchased mine in the early 70s, but it was not new. And I have a Plus 2, the mobile mic that takes that funky, whatever it is, that 6-volt or 9-volt battery. And that was also a used microphonium. I don't know if I've ever bought any new microphones at all. I've got the MD1s. Actually, this one right here. The ILPR 40, but that's kind of a different story. He's using the super vintage, super penetrator antenna from High Gain Antennas. Now, see, I wish we could do net control from Derby, New York, because he not only... I can dress the part, and I've got a lot of old gear, but I've got the new stuff, too. Now, Chet would be doing everything as it's supposed to be, where you look, act, and really are back in 1975. We'll see how that works when we are back in 1975, when we start checking in the radios. Thank you. Let's go to SWL 47. Oh, you know what? He left me an email saying he needed to be checked in because he was going to be away from the coiled cord microphonium, just far enough. Just far enough where you can't reach out for that little push-to-talk bar on the Plus 2 microphone. And then if you slip, you're going to push the little lock bar, and then you're never going to be able to unkey. So you got to be careful. Let's go to SWL 48. Now, those Plus 2s, I think the Plus 2 microphones with that little lock bar, that little lock thing, were really responsible for a lot of, somebody's keyed down for 4 hours. Remember that? Somebody's keyed down for 4 hours. You know, somebody came by and hit the little switch on the Plus 2 microphonium, and you're off to the races. Let's try SWL 49.
Hello, Dennis, and a big hello to all the ships at sea tonight. Did I just pull a Ken Holden? I think I did. Shame on the mess. But 49er here mobile. Very nice to hear you tonight, Dennis. Very nice to be able to hear you tonight at all, Dennis. But we are mobile here and away from home and away from all the noise. So great to hear you guys, and we're just wishing you guys all a good evening. So thank you very much for the check-in, Dennis, and I hope you have a super fine one.
Sounds good. I was wondering how you managed to be able to hear me. We can always hear you no matter where, but you're out in the mobile, thwarting the noise, the QRM and QRN, and yeah, you did an OIB, but you didn't say the word jeepers. If you start doing that, then I'll have to have a talk with you. But you're sounding good. SWL 49, Smitty, and Sweet Country Mama are checking in and looking good tonight.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'll have to check myself if I start doing that Jeepers talk, so. There you go, thank you.
All right, talking about Ken, who is one of my Elmers. He's the guy, Ken Holden is the guy that gave me, back when you had to do that, the novice test, written test in the CW. He sat there and said, here's the key. Actually, you don't have to send. He had the key and then tapped away at 5 words a minute, and I was able to copy and get my license over 30 years ago. I'm trying to think when I was licensed. 35 years ago? I don't know, a long time ago, but that was Mr. Holden that helped me out with that. Next, we've got Mark, SWL50. Out there in Sanger. Boy, this guy sounds great on sideband. Listen to the AM signal when he comes in. SWL51. Mr. Dave out there in Sanger. He's hiding. He sounded so good last night, I guess he doesn't need to check in tonight. I'll give him a proxy. SWL52.
I'm late.
And let's see. We're still on, what page are we on? Page 2, SWL37.
SWL37 checking in.
Whoa. Back off that microphone a little bit. That poor radio. We got you checked in.
Yeah, I did get kind of close to it there, but yeah, I'm checking in. Thank you, Dennis.
All right. And you're sounding good. Page 2, bottom of the page, we've got SWL, let me call 52 again. Sometimes he sneaks in, and I just don't see it. I'll be checking. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53, checking in.
SWL 53, checking in, Bob. Right on time. You're sounding good, and we've got you on the map here.
Thank you.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
Yeah, Dennis, checking in. I don't know if I heard you there or not, but 5-1 checking in from Sanger.
Okay, I hear you, what did they say, 10-2, loud and clear, 5 and 9 plus here in Midtown Fresno, over.
10-4, Dennis, have a good evening. Take it easy.
All right, and that'll do it for page 2. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I click on things and nothing happens. Wanted to make a few comments before we turn the page. Who is it? Oh, Richard talking about Echolink. You know what? Maybe during the break when I have to run around and do stuff, I said I was gonna try this last week. If the battery is good, I'm gonna bring in the. I think there's a different way I can do this for the Echolink. So I'm gonna bring in the portable unit, set it up for Echolink, get myself on the list, and then I might be able to link through. So anyway, Echolink stations, I think I'm only set up to do one at a time, but Echolink stations stand by tonight. I'm going to see if I can bring the other device in and have it ready to go so we can do maybe just a quick report, a quick check-in to see if it works. We've done it before, but I had to run it through all the computers and link up, and it was something that takes longer. This looks like it could be really easy. So Richard, who sounds good, I might add, on in the mornings on 72. Where did I hear you? Just barely last week, 72.35, I think it was. So maybe we'll try some Echolink connections. Going to turn the page. Before I do, let me say hello to wherever he may be. Fighting the evil forces of CB radio, Mr. Johnny Defiant. And if you need to hear the Johnny Defiant filter, you got to watch the video.
Whoa.
You got to watch the video or watch the playback. So we're doing that. Page 3 is where we're at. Don't go away because tube radios will be glowing. SWL 54. We've got a check-in for proxy check-in for Mr. Boardjammer. SWL 55. SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
56, just for kicks, sounding good, Phil. Let me check. I've got the APRS map. I want to see if your running man is on my screen. Hey, wait a minute. Look at this. Okay. You are there. Let's see how fast you're going. It doesn't say. It looks like it's not hitting all the satellites. Mine does the same thing. It says you're at a 54-foot elevation. So I think if it's not accessing at least 3 or 4 of the satellites, it won't give you the right APRS GPS setting. Sometimes mine it'll say I'm at 2 feet or something, but you should be probably at about 300 feet, unless of course you're down. You might be down in the radio bunker, so perhaps it's all as well. But I see you on the map, and it's looking good. Phil has got one of those newfangled, like I do, one of those newfangled APRS, GPRS, what you would call it, C4FM, MDR, P25 radios. It's more than Dixie Cup and a kite string these days. Let's go over to SWL 57, Brown Dog Audio. That's our Central Kentucky station that needed an early check-in, and we will do that for you tonight, no problem. Making sure I don't miss anybody, but usually I do. Oh, hey, there is our one of our many 4-call stations. Paul is in, and also I think it's Keith. Yeah, Keith is listening from Rocky Mountain, Virginia. Thank you. Super Radio listening in tonight. Let's go to SWL 58. I'll get a proxy check in for Jeremy out there in the ditch banks. I will also, I'll try to link over, I'm on the crossband now, I'll also try and link over the 2-meter radio to one of the rooms. See if that, we might get, I know Steve is in. In fact, I went on today to see if he was in there, but I think he's actually getting the radio to fire up. Let's try SWL 59. SWL 60.
Thank you much, here, Dennis, and evening time to all the fellows out there. SWL 60 checking in, Jerry's base, the 291, the DX2527.
Sounding good, as it has done for many a time on the 291. I remember the 291 radio. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Dennis.
Over to, let's see, Copenhagen. I heard him last night on the Ditch Banks net to SWL 61.
61, checking in, Dennis.
All right, sounding good. I don't know where you're at, but you've got a strong signal tonight. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, sir.
SWL 62. SWL 63. SWL 64. Shortwave listener 65.
65 checking in.
SWL 65, Eric, sounding good. We've got you checked in here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Hey, thank you, Dennis. Proxy 55 in as well. It's probably out working on something.
Isn't that the way it is? There's always something to be done. And what happens is, typically you find out that you are the one that's supposed to be doing it. We got you both checked in. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Boy, that is the way it is around here. When you're a one-man show sometimes, and all that stuff that was waiting for you, that needed to get done, it's still waiting for you. We are doing the direct net roll call, the Old Tube Radio Network. Radios will be beaconing shortly. Stay tuned. SWL 66. SWL 67. And that's Bill out there in Canby. Got you checked in. Bill was in early. Helping us get set up. Hope all is well up there in Oregon. We should have some storms coming in, I don't know, a couple of days. And then I think we've got some like springtime Springtime weather. Who would have thunk in March? Next, we've got SWL 68. Shortwave listener 69. And that's Kenny in Tulsa, who faithfully checks in via the YouTube video. Hello, Kenny. We will watch for your comments, thumbs up or whatever it is out there in Tulsa when you see the video. I don't think you are live with us tonight. I'm looking. Like I said, a lot of people got to drop out early because of the time change, and we understand that. So if you leave a note somewhere, I'll scroll through and see it. So, Kenny, we miss you out here. Over to SWL 70. SWL 71. Out there in Foreland in Dallas, Georgia, Stan, we've got you checked in. If you want to see what Mr. Announcer looks like, look at Stan's, what do they call it, meme? Little picture that goes with it. That is pretty close to when the Mr. Announcer we've been hearing for, 30-something years, and the same microphone. That is it. Thank you, Stan. Let's go over to SWL 72. Shortwave listener 73 got a proxy in for John. Heard him on the 2-meter side a few days ago. Says hello to all. Also a proxy check-in for Ms. Julie, SWL 74. Hello, radio. Who was that out there? SWL 75. SWL 77.
Well, good evening, Dennis. And 73 is to all the listeners, and 77 on the Tower of Power out of the Tower District, checking it.
Tower of Power is right. Big audio, big signal to go with it. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, thank you.
Hello to our new stations tuning in from Kerman, down the road, Waverly, Ohio. And in fact, we're going to be checking in with Bob and Steve up there in Ohio coming up shortly. And is it Penticton, British Columbia as well. Up there in the balcony, it looks like. Joining the Squamish boys for whatever they do up there. I think they actually do popcorn also on that. And that barbecue. Get some barbecued popcorn along with all the other stuff. Let's head over to SWL 78, Richard, who, if I ever get my 40-meter antenna up, I don't want to try and make you pull me out of the mud, because I can hear you on the vertical. Whoever that net control is, I hear him really well. Up there on 7235 on the swap net. But sometimes the band just doesn't, I don't remember 40 meters being this bad. It seems like it was always better. It might get that way. Anyway, Richard, you are looking good from Wild Wildemar tonight. On the swap meet, is it every day? All right, I thought it was just on Mondays. 7235, it's every day. So that is interesting. I know there's the one on Saturdays and Sundays, so. Beats eBay all the heck. All right, let's try SWL 79.
79, checking in.
And sounding good doing it. Thank you, Philip. SWL 80. And we'll turn the page. But before I do, let's go over to see what's happening in the green room. Always a good promotion just before we get into the tube radios to find out what is happening and what's going on. So Bob and Steve show, what's happening here?
27.085 OTR channel 11.
looks like the Jingle Singers have stayed busy decorating the Green Room Lounge with St. Patrick's Day programs. That's right. This is our St. Patrick's Day episode of the Old Tube Radio Network, where it is pretty much guaranteed that we will at least have one very green radio tonight. So stay tuned for that. I noticed it was very festive. I'm looking for where my green might be. maybe I'm sitting on it, but I know it's here somewhere. I see banners over in the green room. We're doing pretty good. Signs, and it looks like they're ready. I noticed I had to kind of wing my way through the little shamrock things hanging down the hallway here. The big party and the band will stop tonight at 2 a.m. to spring forward. All clocks and timepieces in the room. If you're in one of the many, many states that does that, California is one of them as well, we will be springing forward tonight. So we'll try and keep it brief. We'll try and get out of here at 10 o'clock. I know if some of you have to jump out early, that's fine. The private jet flew in from New England, Groton, Connecticut, fish for the fish fry. There's always fish going on. Lobster, shrimp. The shrimp was good. I grabbed a few on a little plate when I came in here. It's very good. I recommend shrimp. Green beer on tap. You know, it's rude to stick out your tongue, but there you go. I was not drinking the beer. Otherwise, my tongue would be that telltale green. But no drinking before the show. I just wanted to prove that to you for those watching the video. And it looks like they used the OTR Costco card for all of that. Oops. Yeah, the bill comes in about 5 days, so I will see your oops. Thanks, Bob and Steve. And as they always say, don't forget to feed the fish. Page 4, SWL 81, Mr. Unicorn, Steve Areno in the super secret radio location, running the subterranean ZEP antenna. You know, the Zeppelin antennas that just sort of a piece of wire hanging off of your blimp with like a quarter wave ground poise. So he's got his in the subterranean radio room. That wire hanging, I don't know, buried underneath something. Uh-oh, the lights are dimming here. Steve, we got you checked in. SWL 82.
82, checking in for the Ditch Banks, Biola.
And the Ditch Banks of Biola sounding good. Might put the link up probably after the tube radios are going, just in case anybody wants to get through. I was in the room earlier. It was looking good. Looks like you dusted around the corners in the Ditch Banks room. Everything was great. Got you checked in.
Thanks, Dennis.
SWL 83, beaconing over on the video side. Epimetheus is in. I think it was in early. I don't know if one of the stations that needed to jump in and jump out tonight. Checking in for 21. I got that. And 83, it needs to go do some things. Snow is tearing stuff up here in Colorado. I think the really cold weather that we got at the beginning of the weekend, we had some hail and those little flash cells that come through and wreak sort of the West Coast havoc, which isn't anything like the East Coast or the Florida havoc that happens, but it's bad enough here for California. So 83 is checking in and checking that stuff out, so says he might be back. We've got you checked in from Colorado. Let's go over to SWL 84.
84, good evening, Dennis. I hope all is well there. And 84 checking in. If you can check in the girls at the appropriate time, I'd really appreciate it. Roger. Don't have much of a voice tonight.
Okay, well, you have enough. It's beaconing through. The 6 BQ5s are making it sound good here on the receiver and beaconing worldwide on oldtuberadio.net. You are checked in. Thanks for jumping into the radio room tonight, and I will make sure that the triple play happens shortly.
Check.
Let's try Reedleytown, SWL 85. All right, hear you good. I also heard Robert earlier. I don't think he could hear us, but we'll be getting 111 checked in as well. So Reedley sounding good on live and direct tonight. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark, and they will be doing just that here shortly after the roll call. Also getting in SWL 86, 87, and 88. That's the Mountain Maid Tandy Girl and the Snowy Owl, respectively, looking for SWL 89. A proxy check-in for SWL 90. Then over to SWL 91, Felix, who was in earlier on the video side. I never have to worry if the video is working. Felix is usually right there and saying, yeah, I can tell, I can see you. So thanks, Felix, for that. And we've got you checked in tonight. Let's see. A lot of comments going on here tonight. There he is. I was looking for the green check. I just had to roll all the way down. There it is. SWL 91 saying hello to all the tube radio operators and shortwave listeners alike. Over to SWL 92. SWL 93. Got a note to proxy in 93.
Yeah, check Louis in.
Will do, and we have done that. And then over to SWL 95, another one of our 4 stations, checking in from Orlando, where everything is always nice. They're in Orlando. Thank you, Warthog 95. Just listening into, where is it? Mal's in Hollywood, Florida. He puts in a good signal, but I think he's running about 1,100 watts. That's on 40 meters. What is it? 7188. And I can't remember the name of the net that they do in the evenings out of there, Hollywood, Florida. But he usually puts in a fairly decent signal, considering I don't have much of a receive antenna. Let's try SWL 98. And 23 Skidoo asks, is an Eagle ping really just a reversed Roger beep? Maybe it is. It starts at the beginning. That's inquiring minds want to know. That's probably a topic for hot debate. Let's see, 98? How about 103? Didn't hear this gentleman last night. See if he's out here tonight. SWL 109. Shortwave listener 110. And if you want to give it a try, Robert, I bet we can hear you, but we heard you earlier, and I will get you checked in, SWL 111. And it was nice to hear Robert last week when he mobiled into Midtown and put in a good 20 over signal into the net control station here. Let's try SWL 113. SWL 114.
114 checking in.
And sounding good. I remember last night they talked about being on frequency, and indeed you were. I didn't have to touch the VFO at all, but on AM, you hit it every time. And Wayne has been checking in for, well, if you do, let's see, 52 weeks times 30-something, that's a pretty decent record of being on frequency. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you for the flowers and the check-in.
That's right. When you've got too many radios, you got to try harder. I know. I got too many radios. I got too many broken radios. Let's go over to Fairfax, Virginia, one of our many 4 stations. Also holding one of the coveted SWL cards. That would be John, SWL 128, who is in tonight and checking in. I see you about half an hour ago. Looking good. Moving up to shortwave listener 131. SWL 133. 133. Hello, Dave. We've got you checked in.
Thanks very much, sir.
And somebody just came in. I see them waving up in the balcony. Who is that? Who is that way up there? It's Germantown, Wisconsin, our station that often stops by. Thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network from Wisconsin. Let's try a little closer to home, SWL 135.
SWL 135 checking in.
And sounding good. We will be awaiting whatever it is you might have in the radio room tonight. Got a proxy check in for SWL 137. And let's go up to, who's next? Tony, SWL 145.
Good evening, Dennis and all the SWLs. Tony, SWL 145, checking in from Borstal. Wonderful show tonight, Dennis. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for being part of it. You can't get out of it now because I think the video just recorded your voice, and you're sounding good. Thanks for checking in. That's one thing. We don't give refunds here. Once you check in, there's not much I can do to help you. Let's see. But we're glad that you do. That's for sure. Next is Neil, SWL 147. He was in earlier. I'm trying to see where his item of interest was. I always mark it. There's really no way to bookmark these things so that I can go to them quickly. But I know he was out there listening. Wayne, I will find your words of wisdom. Oh, here we go. Time, but not real strong yet. Move your clocks ahead. All right. Dr. Jazz and the Sandhills. Might have moved their, let's see, it's 2 a.m. So it's 2 a.m. somewhere. It's coming up on 2 a.m. somewhere. So if that's you, make sure your clocks go ahead. And beaconing over to, I got to find this number because I'm not used to doing it, SWL 188.
Evening time, Dennis. Evening time to all SWL listeners. 188, Snow Beast Jr. checking in.
Nice signal and great audio into Midtown here tonight. We've got you checked in on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we are going to the guy that started things off. So you know we're getting close to the Tube Radios, SWL 195.
195 checking in again. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, the 2-for-1 coupon is working great here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Let me see if Jeff is in SWL 226. Trying to think if he was in last night. I think he was in last night. Actually, no, I know he was. I heard him. So we'll get Jeff checked in, which I would be, if I had my antenna, I'd be able to hear him because I can hear him on sideband. There was something I want to comment on. We're going to go to the Tube Radios here, so I've got to run out and check on a few things. Richard talking about NASA's spacewalk yesterday for amateur radio cables, rerouting, etc., getting things organized. See, that makes me feel bad because they're up in the space station and they have to put on all this garb and they reorganize stuff. And here I am, I can walk around freely. I can walk behind the rack, and I still can't get the clip leads off of half of the stuff back here. So I'm going to have to talk to one of those astronauts when they get back down. Get some. I've got the radio hooked up. Maybe we'll listen to this. Some space station link-ups or something. It'll be another thing going on. Other than that, okay, let me stop talking. Hello to Popcorn 913. I'm going to see if I can bring a bag of popcorn in to do that, too. We'll be back in a moment with your glow-in-the-dark radios here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
All right, go TR. Do we have an OTR tonight?
I think Dennis just took a break.
What was that again?
Yeah, I think Dennis just took a break. He's in the green room there eating some avocado dip and drinking on some root beer soda.
Oh, 42 on that.
And this is the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Or as SWL1 puts it, the Old Tired Tube Radio Network, ready to check out and talk with and talk about those old tired tubes themselves. Hello, if you're just tuning in, or maybe you scrolled through the video and saying, yeah, let's see those tube radios. My name is Dennis, net controller of the Old Tube Radio Network. Tonight, here at Channel 11, 27085 in the Central Valley of California, where we are listening for our local stations to check in. Hello to those of you who are tuning in, watching whenever it might be on the YouTube channel, and also those listening to the live stream at oldtuberadio.net. Let's see, who is sponsoring us tonight? I've got to fill up the pocket protector with compliments of D&J Radio Sales tonight, located at a fine location, 228 North Merriam at Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Thief River Falls, Minnesota. There's the pen of the day, thanks to our sponsor tonight, D&J Radio Sales, and that goes right into the pocket protector. Also, for Popcorn 13. See, I do have my popcorn tonight, and he's shaking his head. No, you do not get popcorn from a bag. That's the best I could do, and I apologize. The Old Tube Radio Network, listening for any and all check-ins.
SWL 24.
45.
All right, there was a whole bunch of stations there, so let me get my notepad. First, let me check in on the SWL side so that you can go check your clocks, right? To SWL 24, I've got you in, Joseph, no problem.
Thank you, Dennis.
And let me call for radios again.
135, 135.
All right, I got 135, and I also heard 45 as well. So let me get in order that I hear things. So 135, that is Mr. Green Arrow. Cliff, step up into the air chair. I will get you for Radio 1. And Paul, if you're listening, you will be, we'll get you after Cliff checks in here at, looks like at about 9:04 Pacific Standard Time, which is also, 5:05 UTC. And go ahead, Mr. Green Arrow. Over.
Okay, let's go for this then. As long as it's working. I don't know where this radio comes from, but this is the Fanon Fanfare XM2300. That's X-Ray Mike 2300. The greenest radio that I've got. It has 9 tubes in all 23 channels. And let's see, I'm talking on the green Lollipop D104 microphone. And out here in the backyard, the area is being illuminated by the green Coleman lantern. Back to you.
It is a St. Patrick's Day fest over there in the Radio Cabana tonight, where thanks for the temperatures are dropping. It's not spring quite yet, so I'm sure you are huddled next to the fanfare to stay warm with the tubes. We have a nice picture, and it is actually from Cliff's collection, meaning that it is very possible that the radio we are looking at, if you're looking at the YouTube video, or you're at oldtuberadio.net. In addition to listening in, we have the picture up as well. Let me put it full screen. What a beautiful, glorious green radio, and there's a green microphonium that goes with it. I think I've got a picture of that as well. We're showing the standard stock hand microphonium that goes with that. But the audio is excellent. Back to you for transmission. Over.
I'm glad to hear that. The guys over at Red Monkey went to a lot of trouble to get this mic together. So I'm glad it is working and in order. Oh, yes, and I did forget one other green thing. The Channel 11, the channel display that's on there actually is green. The digits are glowing green. The audio light, on the other hand, is flashing red. That's a couple of different things on this radio from a lot of the others that are similar to it. Instead of modulation, it says audio, for the flashy light, and that's kind of odd. Again, I don't know where this radio comes from. I haven't been able to find much information on it, but it is one of the greenest things that you'll ever see. The case is a nice dark green. The front of the radio is two-tone, light green on top, dark green on the bottom. The lettering for squelch, volume, fine-tune, and microphone are all in green on the chrome. Even the lettering for Fanon is in green. So it just doesn't get much greener than that.
No, it does not. It's going to be hard to top this very first radio for greenness tonight. I'm sure some people might. SWL10, who is a fan of all things green, is commenting. It is beautiful with good audio, and I agree. I also have, and I'm going to try and switch it live here, a shot of the very microphonium which Cliff referred to. Let's see if it can. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me go to a full picture there. Almost looks like. What's the process they do? Powder coating or something like that? It looks like that might be what they did to this. It looks great.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job on it. It really looks professional, like it could have come from the factory that way. You'll have to ask Harvey. He was in on that little conspiracy. And I think he did mention that it is a powder coat job. They did a really terrific job. I like the contrast of the chrome and green. It looks really good, and I'm glad it sounds and it is working pretty good too, eh?
Yes. Perfect audio. The radio passes full fidelity. Typically, the D104 microphones will give you a little bit of high-end punch, which you have, but you've also, it doesn't sound like a phone patch. It's got good full fidelity audio. Now let me say this while I'm transmitting. Mitch, SWL23, who has a great bin of Rolodex files that can go back and find out things about radios. Tonight, he is saying that the XM2300 is a Panasonic chassis. It looks like it may actually have 9 tubes versus the 11, which the Panasonic chassis did. If it did, I don't know if you know how many tubes it has. Then it is derived from the Lafayette Comstat 23 Mark 5 and 6. So it's possible it could have its bones in a Lafayette Comstat 23. Also says it should have a Nuvistor front end. sold starting in 1969. So you might see if it's got the funky, was that little metal New Vista style tube in there, and maybe a tube count might elucidate more. Back to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to take it apart right now to find out, but I did have it apart earlier. I don't remember seeing that in there, but I wasn't looking for it either. There are 9 of your basic small glass tubes in there. As I mentioned earlier, yeah, it is 9 tubes that I can see. If there's a New Vista in there, I missed it.
All right, he says, does the chassis have 2 open holes where tubes should go? That would make it 10 and 11. So have you ever noticed that it looks like it's missing something, but it still works?
Yes, as a matter of fact, if you are facing the front of it and look down into the top of it, the upper right-hand part of the chassis, there are 2 holes where it looks like you could mount a couple of more tubes if you really wanted to.
Okay, could be solving the mystery of the 9-tube versus the 11-tube Panasonic chassis. He said the XM is New Vista, the M2300 does not. So you've got the big time model there on the XM.
Okay, yeah, finding out more and more. Panasonic. So is this a Japanese radio?
Japanese import, I believe, unless they were from Korea. I can't remember what it was, but it's an earlier version. The 9 tubes New Vista. You've got the XM, so it's the New Vista, and it has its bones probably more. We were talking about the Robin T123B earlier, but that's an 11-tube style, so its bones may be more in the Lafayette mode.
Yeah, that is interesting to know, because like I say, we were talking about this earlier. The cabinet, the knobs, the chassis layout and everything about this radio screams ECI. It looks very much like a Courier. But again, there just isn't any information on the radio itself, and I've tried hunting it down on the internet and wasn't able to find anything about it. You know what happened when I Googled this thing is my picture and OTR came up in the search.
You're famous. Interesting. All right. Well, it's an earlier version. It's sort of like Madman Months, where they figured they could detube, take 2 tubes out of it and actually make it a lesser, less expensive version of the 11-tube chassis to reduce costs. So if you have schematics for a Compstat 23 Mark V or a Mark VI, if you can find those, take a look at that, because that may be very similar. Mitch is saying it's similar to that chassis because it's the 9 tubes. And there was an M2300, but I don't know how similar that would be. It may be hard to find that. If you can't find any Fanon, I would imagine if you were Googling the XM, an M2300 would have showed up, but that doesn't have the New Vista in it. It's Fanon bought Courier sometime around 68, 69, or 70. So that is what was Fanon and Fanon Courier and the good old Fanon. And like I said, I remember when I got into CB, which was 1970, 69, 70, 71, 72, I had a friend who really wanted me to buy one of these XM2300s. And like I told you earlier, I ended up going the solid state route with the Navajo, which indeed is a good rig, and I still have it. I should see if that still works up. Radio number 1, the Fanfare XM2300. Thanks to Mitch, I think we have actually given you a path to check on finding out more about this radio. Over.
Yeah, maybe I'll try hunting that way. Like I say, I came up with dead ends. I found there's several models I found, like on CB Tricks and stuff, of Fanon fanfares. There's, I don't know, maybe a dozen different models, but none of them are the XM2300 or XM anything else. So that was kind of a brick wall. Yeah, I'll check this out. Thanks for the info.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. You definitely have many thumbs up on this radio tonight, especially those who like green, and of course There is some coveting going on the D104. In fact, somebody said they're going to have to see if they can get one. I don't. It's going to be hard to find one or to find one that looks as good as that. You're going to have to homebrew it yourself, and it may still be hard to match that quality. Radio number 1 checking in at 904, the Fanon Fanfare XM2300 that we think is the 9-tube version of the 11-tube Panasonic chassis that was shared with the late model Comstat 23 series. Thanks for your check-in.
Yeah, thanks for letting me check it in here on Green Channel 11, the Fanon Fanfare XM2300. We'll see you next week with another Green Radio.
All right, good deal. And what is that, Christy? Christy's saying popcorn. Does that mean we're supposed to have... Let's see. I'm opening the bag. I know. There should be like an air popper here. Here it is. All right, we'll bring out... Oh, look it. That's kind of green. And this is not an ad. I should have covered up the... our Skinny Pop. The skinny guy needs Skinny Pop. Here we go. All right. I think that's the first time I've ever eaten anything on the air. Paul, SWL45, are you there? Over.
How you been? I want to check in a General Radio cell phone BB30.
Okay. It was a real mistake. Oh, man. It was a real mistake putting popcorn in my mouth. Hold on. Wow. All right. The BB30 from General Radio Telephone. Take a transmission, and I'll find a photo of that one.
Yeah, you got it in there. I know for sure. I'm looking at it right now. You find my radio window, I think.
Checking, and hey, look at that. From the collection of Paul. You are on, sir. What a great-looking radio.
That's my radio. That's what I'm talking on right now. It's strictly a business band radio. Actually, they set it up, I think, with 27420 megahertz, and a little above the new 40 channel that came out later. But it's real plain. It's got a meter on the thing. It's got a light on the front that doesn't flash when you talk to the microphone. So you got to watch the meter and everything. And just you can see a plain front, but a nice unit. Thank you.
It is. I was looking at the rack handles, which all of the MC series have these rack handles on the front. It looks very utility and portable. These seem to be different on the business style radios. It looks like they're either larger or they stick out farther. Let me go to a full screen. Very clean looking radio for the business band. I suppose. For the single channel. It says 1965, believe it or not. What a beautiful radio. The General Radio Telephone BB30 was a 9-tube. Looks like the 9-tube radios are in tonight. 9-tube, 25-watt RF output business band radio. This radio has 2 channels. The earlier BB30 had only 1 channel, designed for the business channel of 27420, which would be, well, that's still above channel 40. The picture does not show the channel A and channel B on the rocker switch, which would be the one next to the volume control. It also has the famous ECLL 800 tube. Well, that was early. That was early on. They used a ceramic microphone built by Turner. What microphone did you say you were using, Paul, over?
I had the original one on here, and it didn't like it, so I had to go back to my good old Turner M+2U. It's an amplified mic, handheld.
It's good. It's got plenty of audio. Very, very crisp sounding. Sometimes I know the General Radio telephones will have a little bit more low frequency fidelity, but you certainly don't need that on this. There is a light. There is a light under the S meter. Is that just indicate when it's on, or is that doing something when you talk into the radio? Is it a modulation light as well?
No, that's it. When you turn the switch on, the light comes on. That's it. Nothing else flashing in this thing. That's the only light it's got on. It's not too. Well, no, that's the screw over there I'm looking at. So that's it. 1-1.
Indeed, and I agree with Chrissy. She says it looks like the handles stick out more than the others, and I think that's the way it is too. So maybe that was a business band thing. But again, this is a business band radio, so basically you had if you had a business license, or if you used it on CB, you're going to say, KEO 8492 base to unit 2. who's probably somewhere in a shop down the road saying you need to pick up one of the widgets and bring it in. And that was what this was for. 1965 could do a 25-watt output. In fact, give me another transmission. I'll bring the S meter up and we can kind of compare it to any other radios you might check in with tonight. Back to you, over.
Okay. Somebody else is trying to get in. I don't know. He may try again, so be on the lookout. That's about the size of the radio. I'll tell you, it's just a real nice radio for a bitter span. It's really clean. Thanks for letting me check it in.
Hey, thanks for bringing it by our radio number 2 tonight. Very rare from 1965 from General Radio Telephone. So when you saw business band amps, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, these were the radios that the business band amps were legally or FCC approvedly made to match. But of course, it wasn't hard for them to match other radios as well. A perfect example of why we are here on Saturday evenings, the Old Tube Radio Network, to one, give our radio operators a chance to put these radios on the air, and to also give our shortwave listeners like myself a little bit of history back from those days. Pretty interesting. Not many places you can do that. Thanks for bringing it by.
Is this the business band frequency?
This is the business band frequency right now. So if you have a radio, but you have a business band amplifier, which has tubes in it, we'll add that to the tube mix. Hello, radio.
Well, indeed, we do have something to add to the mix. You can tell that something's screaming here. We've checked in this Eagle R27 S23 in the past. However, a little egg was found in the nest to the tune of a Mark 100, and it seems to be working okay.
It is working most excellently. Really great classic Browning audio. And I'll make sure I have the S meter up on one of the key ups, so that if you watch the video, you can give yourself a signal report. But you are very, very much above the noise level here in Midtown with superb audio. I think I found a picture of the R27 S23. Unfortunately, it's the 180. But a little research I did, the 100, and there was a 170. And a 180, and there might have been another one in between that. They were basically all the same amps inside, although the fronts of the amplifiers were a little bit different, sort of to match the radios to which they mated with. And I think the 100 is maybe for an earlier version of that. I don't know. You could probably tell by if the knobs on the 100 match your transmitter and receiver. Over.
And indeed they do. Precisely the same knobbins that are on the VFO and the channel selector of the S23. I wanted to say sender, but that's what the S is for.
Yeah, the R receiver, S sender, and just super clear, nice audio. What microphonium are you running with that?
That would be a non-amplified D104.
Perfect combination. This is what the engineers at Browning strived for, was this, I'll say, continuity of sound that their radios put out. And they did some filtering in the audio section to make sure that the radios pretty much sounded like an Eagle, regardless of what microphonium you might put on them. Let me go over to, let's see, this screen. So when you keep, next time we'll take a look at the S meter and see how the thing is moving forward. Over.
Oh, as the Eagle lands, hey, you know, there was some activity between 11:30 and about 12:30 today on 11 meters here, precisely on this frequency. And it was quite nice to pop out there into the jungle with the little helper on the Eagle. So yeah, made a couple contacts back east into the bayou country.
Part of DX is being, as you know, obviously, because you've done big time DX, is being at the right place at the right time, or being on, and then other people being in the right place at the right time to chat with you. So it sounds like you were every bit doing that today for whatever little opening that we had. So it gets pretty exciting when you can jump in and jump out and be one of the 2 or 3 people that actually know it's happening.
And just as quick as it showed up, it left, and quiet as a mouse. Anyway, thank you, Dennis, and thanks for being there to let us check in these old birds.
Hey, we appreciate every moment that we can get a radio check-in on the old Tube Radio Network. That's why we are here. I think the deal is... Oops, I don't know. I pressed a button and all sorts of things happened here. The deal is that when we check in our millionth radio, or maybe it's the millionth tube, there's going to be balloons and there'll be a big party at whatever point where net control, whoever the net control station is. So I'm trying to get my million tubes in before somebody else takes over. But we will see. Thanks for bringing by radio number 3. The old Tube Radio Network is standing by. Well, I was trying to bring up the Echo link, but to do that, I have to have what's called a proxy server on a wacky phone here that isn't really cooperating. So that doesn't seem to be happening. But if I do get the proxy really cooperating, server to show up, I'm hearing myself. At least it knows I'm on the air. Now, and I'm hearing voices, but you'll see my call. OTR standing by for radio number 4. And the jingle singers are ready.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
And 60. Hello, Joe. If you've got a radio, you will be number 4 at 929 over.
Thank you much, Dennis. Checking in my Johnson Messenger. Doggone it, I love listening to this thing here. You guys sound so nice on it. Has a nice big speaker. Not a fancy radio. Volume and squelch. A little smaller project than most people have there. But especially you, Dennis, you sound excellent on this radio.
You got to love analog radio. That's why they have, the audiophiles that love the Macintosh amps and the Scott stereos and the Sherwood tube amplifiers, and what are some of the other great ones that run the 12AX7 tubes. The new stuff is great. The SDR is good, but I've done the same thing where you have a radio that's got the IF DSP and the AF DSP, and then you get back to an analog radio with some headphoniums, and you think, wow, where is this sound? So that is indeed what's happening. Got a shot of the Messenger 223 here, and you can see when they repurposed the Messenger 2, and said, we're going to put 23 channels and an S-meter, a bigger case. They also gave it this great front throw speaker. So you can't help but get great audio out of this radio.
Oh, I know what you mean. I enjoy listening to OTR on this radio. And this evening, doggone it, we are on the original microphone, the Johnson Messenger desk mic. And we are pleased to key it up, and I hope it's transmitting okay your way.
Sounding good. You have the perfect audio mix where it sounds like you're in the room here, in the control point, talking with me face to face, not over amplified, not don't sound like a phone patch. You've got it dialed up, very, very nice. The Messenger 223. I think it was on the shelves from 1969 to 1972. Throughout the 1960s, the E.F. Johnson Messenger 2, a very standard, a very good-selling radio, and for one reason, it's just very well built. E.F. Johnson, still around today, one of the few companies that we check in that still is doing things today. We've talked to a couple people. I think it was Radio Ham Guy that actually worked at E.F. Johnson in the 1980s and said it was a great place to work. This radio was built for about 4 years. It ran about $200, which was a reasonable price for what you got. They included a microphone with it if you wanted, and it had a special Johnson placard on the front. I don't know if it's a minus, but the only thing this radio didn't do was go mobile. But Johnson at the time had a lot of other smaller mobile radios, so I think they were smart to just keep this one as a based radio. And we'll go back to you for another transmission.
Thank you much. No, I think that the idea of it being a base station was great. I don't think it would have worked out as far as mobile. I mean, it's the right size. It could be mounted perfectly under the dash maybe of a 1959 Ford with a bench seat. But I'm really pleased with it. I'm happy that it's AC driven, and doggone it, I just love listening to OTR on this radio because of that big speaker, and it's well lit. I'm in here in the dark room here, don't have any lights on, and I'm going to button her up. She now has the original Johnson desk mic.
It's good. It's a good match. Good match for that radio. It has nice solid audio, and there is no need for any amplification or more than what you've got.
Well, I thank you much, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. Hey, okay, I'll let the guys check in their radios, and I've got another one to check in. It's warming up. It's on that instant on, so that one is ready to go too after this one.
Okay, good deal. We will be here, the old tube radio network. Real Radio is glowing in the dark. What time is it? 9:34. My name is Dennis. We are in the Central Valley of California on Channel 11. So anybody that's trying to hear us, since it's at night, we don't have any big conditions. We're in solar cycle 25. But of course, we're not in the big part of it, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. I've been trying to get the Echolink up on the little handheld here, and it works great except for now, where it says there's a network problem. So I don't know if it's the RF is not happy with this, and it's locked up the whole thing. It is so weird. It normally works, and it's totally locked up. So I'll try and work on that. Dwayne, SWL30, saying Joe is sounding great tonight. Also want to say hello to our news stations that have come in. Super Loop. Hello, Greg. Where are you? Are you back in the QTH, or are you still out in Florida? I saw your live video beaconing down over the pool, and I wonder, did you make it? Did you make it into the restaurant before they shut down, or did you have to end up eating the package of cereal? You know, the complimentary package of cereal in the room. Dwayne wants to check in his T123B. You know, what do they do? What do they do with the music? They have air guitar. Maybe we should have air check-in. You know, where you can hold up your whatever microphone of choice and put up your antenna. So we'll have to give you an air and air check-in. The Old Tube Radio Network, we are looking for radio number 5. And Radio 5 has been spoken for. Hello, 84 Jerry. You are still hanging out in the radio room, and we are going to be the benefactors of that. Go ahead, over.
Thank you, Dennis. Dennis, if I can make this pretty quick there. You want to shut down pretty much on time there. Excuse the voice here. We're on the Johnson Messenger 2, the 23 channel, and the Johnson microphonium there, and that's the original. Says the Johnson right on it, and it's the one that came with it when I got the radio. Anyway, we're only doing about 2¼ watts, so we're not doing full swing, but it is what it is there. Roger.
Indeed. It was 5 watts DC input. So if you could get 3.5 watts out, you were doing pretty good. The FCC was happy as long as it was probably 4 watts or less. I'll ask you one quick question. The radio is sounding good. There are 2 versions, at least that we know of this radio. One has a modulation light that protrudes in the center of the case, and one does not. So I'm just curious if you have the modulation light version or the non-modulation light version. Over.
Yes, it indeed does have the Moduput light. It's amber right above the volume control, which the volume control just does operate the volume control. The one on the left is squelching on and off. So it does have the amber modulation light, and it is pretty doggone bright, but like I said, we're doing about 2¼ watts, maybe 2.5, but that's just about it there. Roger.
Well, I know you are not that close to my location. I know you have a fairly decent antenna setup. I don't know if it's as high as it normally is. Sometimes I know it has to come down for weather purposes or whatever. But the next transmission, take one more transmission, I'll put up the S-meter, and we'll check out how that works. But it's doing a good job, 2.5 watts and all. It is radio number 5 and another E.F. Johnson. You got to love it. The guy that worked at Johnson, Larry, said that the thing that you need to check the most with those was some of their crystals would drift. But you sound very close on frequency, so I don't think you have any problem with the crystals. Back to you for transmission, and I thanks for your extra effort tonight in putting a radio on the chart.
Thank you, Dennis. The antenna out there, it's just a skosh under the second adjustment there. I can't even think what I'm trying to say. But it's got 3 sections, and it's just below the second section. So, during the wintertime, we have it lowered out. But I got this antenna from Harvey, and I never did get it all the way extended. So it's a 60-foot tower, and of course they're telescoped in about 3 feet per section. So automatically you lose 6 feet right off the get-go. So it's not quite to full extension on the second level there. Roger.
It's a good height. Obviously, if you can get up at wavelength, if you can get up 35, 40 feet, which it sounds like you are, most 11-meter antennas are going to play quite well. We all can't be like Superloop and have the 5 elements, certainly the polarized beams that we can point around. But whatever you're doing sounds great for radio number 5 on the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. We've got it recorded in the archives if you want to hear the replay. You're at just almost S9, so well above the noise level tonight. Thanks for bringing it by.
Thank you, Dennis. We'll see if we can do this again next week. We are getting stronger and stronger all the time. Just not a lot of voice tonight. So thanks, Dennis. 84.
And thanks for that. And Mitch says, did we just have a pair of Johnson 223s back-to-back? And the answer is yes. And if I look through the many pages of archives, I'm sure that has probably happened before, and that the E.F. Johnson Company has been the most heard manufacturer more than once. Greg's saying he actually had dinner twice, and backwards at that. And with a Greek salad. All right, barely made it. All right, I'm glad to see that you made it into the restaurant, because I didn't want you falling over the balcony, diving into the pool, trying to get there. So you did it the right way. Still having network problems on the Echolink feed. It was good when I brought it in here, so there is something with the Wi-Fi that it may or may not like. So I'll keep seeing if I can jump that in before we leave tonight. OTR standing by, listening for Radio 6. And hello, Paul. Can you hear me? Over.
Boy, long you do cover it up all right. Yeah, I got a noise level again back. I don't know what's going on. Something strange. But we've still got snow on the ground up here. Maybe that's got something to do with it. I want to check in my Regency Imperial.
All right. I'm glad you... That's a radio that's going to make me happy. It's not green. If we had an Imperial 2... That's the green radio, but the Regency Imperial is good in my books. Let me bring it up. If I was good, I'd have the Regency sitting on the shelf back here, and I could pan the camera around looking for the Regency Imperial. I don't know whose Regency we have. There are better shots than what I've got, but I'll bring one up here, and we'll go over to you.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. It's not mine, but it looks just exactly like mine. The same color and everything on the thing. It's an Imperial SSB-DSB AMCB radio. And all those things work on this thing. This is an amazing little radio. Not a little radio, it's a big radio. Got 13 tubes in the thing. AM, LSB, and USB. And the meter has 3 function strength, voltage, current, SVC. Boy, it gets all kinds of stuff on it. It has final tuning control in front. You can keep the amperage up from the front rather than going to the back or inside it. Do it by hand. Very nice radio. Back to you.
Very nice radio. Regency Imperial. Good, what is it? The dual pairs of the 6... is it the 6AQ5 or the 6... Yeah, it's a 6AQ5 push-pull modulator output. It has a great receiver. I know because my very first tube radio was the Regency Imperial. Greg Superloop says if you want to put the Brownings and the Trams and the sonars all together and say what's the best radio, you pretty much have to put the Imperial in that line as well, especially for receive and transmit when you get the things peaked and tweaked and talking. The final control was cool. You can dip your final, get full output power. If you want to talk to the kids down the street at 100 milliwatts, you can just detune that thing and you're good to go. Audio is great. Back to you for transmission.
Yeah, it's just limited things you can do with the radio. It's a very nice look at you. It's got the black cover like on expanded metal, and it gives a lot of airflow in there, which is great. They did a super job on doing that. A lot of them so tight in there, I don't see if they held together. But anyway, I'm running a stock Regency that came with the radio, non-amplified ceramic microphone, manufactured by Turner. It looks a lot like the M plus 2U, but it's not amplified. Back to you.
Nor does it need to be. That's the radio. That's the microphone I got with mine. And then, speaking of the Blue plus 2 desk mic from 1972-73, that's the microphone I bought for that radio, was used. And it really probably was not the best match. It could really make the thing scream. But there are better microphones for that. And you really don't need the amplified microphone if you adjust. There's I guess 3 controls on the right side of the radio. I think one was the S meter and the audio control and something else. I used to be able to align, going through the top of the radio, align the RVFO for like the minus 2 o'clock position, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock position for the sideband. And like Joe was saying, another radio that's really nice to listen to for great analog audio, the Regency Imperial, built from, that's in I want to say 66, 67, 68. Then they came out with the Imperial 2 with the extra noise blanker and noise limiting improvements. 13 tubes, the extra tubes for one extra tube for a product detector. And I can't remember, there may have been another tube that was needed for sideband. Radio number 7 and radio number 6, the Regency Imperial. Thanks for bringing it by, Paul. Back to you for a transmission.
Yeah, thanks for checking it in, Dennis. It is a really amazing radio. It's not a two-piecer, nothing like that. It's just a single radio and everything in it. Thanks again for checking it in.
We mentioned, yeah, it does have sideband, but it's double sideband on the transmit. Your receiver selects lower, the upper, but your transmitter basically cuts out the AM carrier and leaves the two sidebands. So it wasn't a real popular. It was a good transmitter, but wasn't real popular with the double sideband, especially when you got up on 16 and people started adding the VFOs and sliding down into the RC channel. You took up 6 kilohertz of space, and you had to make sure that nobody was on the upper side or the lower side, depending on which one you were listening on. So that was something that kept me from doing a lot of sideband on mine. I think the Tram Titan 2 was also double sideband radio. And then when they started figuring out the single sideband and the Japanese imports came in, like the Yaesu sideband sort of took off and left the poor Imperial in the dust. But it's still a good player for sideband. The Old Tube Radio Network listening for Radio 7.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, please.
Good evening, Dennis. SWL 17. I guess I'm cheating. I'm borrowing from the Browning collection and stacking it behind the Courier Royale.
Well, let's see. If we go alphabetically, A, B, C, I go to my list. I should be able to find a Courier Royale in there somewhere.
Very well. I think the last time I checked this in, you had asked me whether or not it had a knob on the back of the radio for modulation. So yes, I took a look at the back of the radio as I was reconnecting some coax this evening. Anyway, the Courier Royale 24 channel. 24, because there is that ubiquitous in between 22 and 23.
That was the first, what do they call it? Go to the other one. And if you had one of the other Panasonic chassis that had 23A and B, it was like, go to the other one. And yes, I admit, I did cut the green wire on my Realistic Navajo, so that space between 22 and 23 also got 22A, which at the time was, oh boy, I don't know. Well, before it was channel 24, 25, whatever they did with that. Sounding good for Radio 7. Got a good picture of the Courier here. And I wanted to make a comment. Next time, Mitch, I missed it. That's a good thing that I should have done. Next time Paul brings by the Regency Imperial, we'll ask him to do the double sideband. And I bet by just pulling out the carrier and having the two sidebands, sometimes you can copy the sideband pretty well without getting any product detectors on that using double sideband. So see how well the sidebands match for next time. All right, I made a note on that. I'm going to put a big picture of the Courier Royale, and we'll go back to Eric as he gives us another transmission on what was, I think, the last tube radio for Courier, and they're top of the line at pretty much close to $300. Over.
Yeah, it was the one the owner of the business wanted. Anyway, I think I've done this before. I'm actually talking into the back of the Sonic, and it has the ECI logo lettering on the front of the Microphonium handheld.
You did something. The audio went down, but I could still hear you. You don't have one of those bidirectional microphones like they use in the big studios. But somewhere there is the proper port to speak into.
Right. here's up close in the back side of the microphone, and here's the microphone right in your face. Anyway, thanks, Dennis. Looking forward to hearing some more radio.
As am I, and yeah, the front fire microphonium sounding nice, or I should say better on the Courier Royale, even though I can hear you on both items. That is an 11-tube radio, 12AX7, I think in the audio somewhere, 6BQ5. So it's all good. It will run 12-volt DC if you have the proper cables to it. And it looks like if you go to oldtuberadio.com, there might actually be a service manual for that. Thanks for bringing it by.
37.
And Mitch is saying Courier Royale, $249, June 1966. That was a good price. That was a good time to get it and a good price to get it, because I bet at the end of their run, it was probably more than $249. And that's probably what you find them for today in good conditions. Hello, 37, over.
Oh, and hello, Dennis. You was late on keying there, unless you're transmitting somewhere else. Anyway, Dennis, can I check in an old tube radio?
You can check in an old tube radio. I'm using the J because, as seen on TV, my foot switch is not functioning properly, which is the better way for me to do all this, because I need both my hands to fiddle with papers. So I reconnected the J38 key, and it's got a slide bar, and occasionally when I'm moving the mouse on the table, I'll hit something, and that slide bar will lock in, and then when I untap the top of the code key, I'm still keyed down because the slide bar is in. So if I'm a little bit clunky, that is why. But back to you.
Okay, well, that answers that question. Anyway, I want to check in my general radio telephone, my Super MC11A, 24-channel version of this thing here, and we're running this here with a non-amplified stock original microphone. Over.
Stock audio and a stock radio. Started off the evening, radio number 2, the general radio telephone BB30, sort of based on that ECLL 800 audio chassis, but in a much simple form with only 2 channels and a lot less knobs, but still the same style of audio. There's the rack handles if you're looking at the video or the picture, and that's the standard. Those are the ones on the BB30 seem to be extended. I'm not sure if why they did that. As always, the audio is superb. It's without even trying, and you're sounding good.
Yeah, I just turn it on and let it warm up, and I hope it works when I key it down.
I'm going to say 99 44 100% of the time it does, and right now it's 100% of the time.
You know, here, a little bit over a month ago, I took it out in the garage and gave it a cleaning.
You take the air compressor to it?
Yes, I did, and a brush.
Good way to do it. Don't use, too much of a pinpoint of air, but to blow the dust out of it. Should work well. Sometimes if it's a little scratchy on the controls, what's the stuff they really like to use? The deox it in there, or pull the tubes out and push them back in gently, and it'll be good. It'll be good to go for another 10 years of check-in.
And I did pull each tube out, and I put them back in and rolled them in a circular motion, where I said scrape up and down, and do the same thing with every tube in, and I did that with every single one of them. That way it's definitely getting cleaner, and I cleaned the channel selector. That was where I was having some trouble at times. So I got that straightened out, and that's all I really had to do to it. But it was dirty. You got to stop and think. I'm a lazy person. I don't clean them that good, or I haven't cleaned them that good, but I did give it a bath one day here a couple months ago. I said it was time for it, and I put myself to it and did it, and I was happy I did.
All right, and you know what? We're happy you did as well, because your general radio telephone is one of the favorite radios with our listeners. So we need to have it checking in more often than not. Thanks for radio number, let's see, you're radio number 8 with that.
Okay. All right, take it easy. I I got fired up and get it warm.
25.
And hello, 25. I was suspecting that we might not hear you tonight because I think you said you were going to be at the venue, as it were. But I hear you now. Over.
Roger. Yeah, it was an early venue, and made it back in time. Hopefully to check in. And while I'm checking in, I might as well check in this old Browning Golden Eagle Mark III. Over.
Will do, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III. I wish I had your energy to go out and do all that and then come back and think it is Saturday and the Saturday night place to be is online. So let me run into the, no, you wouldn't run. Let me jaunt. Let me just kind of soiree, I don't know what you do, into the radio room and check in your radio. Over.
Yeah, well, you know, for what 34 plus years you've been doing this, I can't let you down now. Anyway, yeah, the Golden Eagle Mark III SS B-side bander on a non-powered banana mic. And, boy, you know this radio, the red on, the air lights on, and everything seems to be working. So, back to you, Dennis.
It is working, and if it was one of those radios that had a clock, but it doesn't, you would be setting it forward in just a few hours. So looking good, sounding good, and giving us another Browning Laboratories on the list tonight. Thanks for jumping into the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. We're going to get you checked in and checked in.
3, 2, 1, 1. Yeah, if you don't mind, check in 74 too. Anyway, I thought I heard some other stations out there, so I'll be standing by. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, will do. The Old Tube, thanks for your check-in. The Old Tube Radio Network here on Channel 11 is listening. The breaking station, go ahead. I'm just wondering if it's Skip trying to come in, or they're probably not hearing my pip squeak stations. New York is listening, where the clocks are going to be set back soon. Hello to Smarty Jones.
37.
And I'm looking at Greg's info on the general radio telephone. 37, step up in the air chair. You will be Radio 10. They added a plate choke in the modulation circuit on the Imperial 2 noise blanker. I know they had the extra noise thing. Did away with the plate tune on the front. Oh, really? I have to look at that. I didn't know that. Plate tune on the front panel and changed it to an RF gain. Oh, cool. All right. And then a nice vernier drive for the VFO tune. Well, those are actually decent upgrades. It wasn't like they just painted the front green. I do not have an Imperial 2. I have the original Imperial, but if you run an Imperial, those are things you would think it would be nice to have, especially an RF gain control, because that was a great receiver. So if in RF gain, that would be a nice thing to do. I'm not sure how you could work the modulation. I'm not sure what the plate choke and the modulation circuit did, if that was a necessary thing or if that helped it from, over... What was it? Suppressed carrier. It's suppressing too much carrier, so you sounded more like sideband than AM. But thanks, I did not know that. Stepping up into the air chair for Radio 10. Hello, Chris. Over.
Hello, Dennis. Once again, SWL 37 here. Dennis, this time here, I'm going to check in my Chris 23 Plus, the CB transceiver, 23 channel tuber. And I am running this in here with the original handheld stock microphone. Over.
Handheld stock microphonium. Sounding good. Good communications quality audio. Should be enough. It might not make that modulation light blink as brightly as it would if it was amplified, but I'm hearing you just fine. Over.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, my light on here, it gets up there. Yeah, about as bright as it go. It jumps up there, and the needle's slamming over that way to the right, so I guess something's doing it. Whatever. Over.
Well, not only you're doing something right, you're doing many things right. One of them, of course, is being here at the Saturday Night Place to Be with, that is worth points right there. But showing up with a radio, a tube radio, is another big bonus. And the fact that is the, let's see, 11 tube, I think that's a Panasonic chassis on that, the Chris 23 Plus. I think it is. There's an operator's manual at oldtuberadio.com. And a 12AX7 in your audio. It looks pretty good. Give us another transmission, and you have got us up into the double digits on the radios tonight. Thanks.
Get queued up. I had the bullhorn on there for a minute. But I was going to say, one of these days I'll get the power mate going again here. I got to get the microphone wired for it where I can use it. It broke on me, the wiring, and so I had to get a different mic. Tried to do it on there, and my fingers shake too much trying to solder anymore, so I couldn't do it. But one of these days I figured out how to do it, and I'll get it back on the air. All right, Dennis, this one's it for me this evening, but I did get another one in. Over.
Yes, you did, and I think there are others that would like to check in. We will go as long as we need to fill up radios tonight. I sort of promised myself wouldn't stay on too late. I know a lot of the stations that are not in this time zone need to jump out early as they have already lost an hour. But here at 10 o'clock, 10:02, the Old Tube Radio Network. Let me do a top of the hour required jingle singers item of interest. And then I think we do have yet another radio that would like to check in, and we'll certainly get it.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
You got to love that Radio Magic listening for Radio 11.
How about this one?
That'll work at 2 minutes after 10 o'clock or close to it. Out in the Radio Shack, the indoor Radio Shack, which is a good thing. Hello, Harvey.
Hello. Yeah, this is the Browning Golden Beagle R68T68 by Browning Lavatory with the custom D104. You were talking about the green D104 that Cliff has. That came from Bill's shop when he was doing a lot of radios. He had a lot of the D104s powder coated. That one was green. He did several colors. And when he was getting ready to move and selling a lot of the gear he didn't want to take, somehow a couple of the microphones people just passed on. And they passed on that green one, so I bought it from Bill. And they passed on a red one. There's a cherry red one that looks kind of like that green one, but only red. And I've got that one with a realistic Americana 23 radio that originally had a red case, and Bill had it re-powder coated in the same color as the microphone. They're both the same, and the radio does have some graphics on it that are in red, so it all kind of goes together. One of these days I'll get a picture up on that.
Good. Would like to see that. I'm looking at that microphone. That's why I told him. So it looks like looks like a car auto finish. Use some nice Simonized wax on that, and it will look even better. But I think it pretty much was that way on the screen. So yeah, match your colors. It'd be beautiful microphonium. Nice audio on the Browning Golden Beagle tonight, as always. And I hope you're able to listen in from the new location.
Oh yeah, I've also got an orange and black one, D104. Kind of looking at it, the screen is orange, the ring around it is black, the back of the mic is orange, Then you have a little bit of chrome on the connector. The grip to talk is chrome. Then the, I guess the shaft area is black. And then the base is orange. So I have an orange and black one. He had that there too, and I thought, well, no one wants that one, so I grabbed that one up. But I've also got a blue-based one here that's a metallic blue. So it's real shiny in blue. And what I'm trying to do is kind of find radios that they'll go with. The orange and black one I'm having a little trouble with, though.
Well, we'll come back in October when we do our Halloween check-ins, and I'm sure there will be... Cliff usually comes up with some thematic radio. I don't know about the orange and black. I want to say hello to stations checking it up at the balcony. Cordova, Tennessee, hello to you. Spokane, Washington. There was somebody in there who just dropped out. It was Manteca, just up the road a piece. Listening in to this program, the Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California, 27085 Channel 11, where Harvey is our 11th Tube Radio tonight, talking on the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. What was that one? Sandwiched in between the Eagle, the R27 S23, and the modification of that radio, which I believe would be the Mark II. So that is the Mark I of the Mark None, and it's always sounding good.
Hey, Roger. Thank you. The R27 S23, according to some literature that I have, Browning Laboratories consider that the best overall transmitting and receiving combination that they had for AM. So I'm wondering how they classified that with the Mark III and IV, but, you know, they said overall with receive sensitivity, channel rejection and all, and overall audio quality on transmit, they thought the R27S23 was their best.
Interesting. So it's like you try to top it, but it's like, well, we've already done it. And sometimes, you know, simple is good. You get to a point where it's, you know, you can only bake the cake so much, and then you're just putting more icing on it, more little globs of little stars and roses. It's like, no, I just take the frosting off. The cake is good enough. It's always good. Radio 11, Browning Golden Eagle, R68, T68. Hello to, is it NWX 446? Tuning into the Old Tube Radio tonight. Hello to you and other stations as well. All right, Harvey, we're doing good. We had a lot of our questions answered tonight, thanks to Mitch, who was working the Rolodex. Hey, I noticed the Echo link that just came up. It looks like it connected to the right server. So the Echo link is up on, if anyone wants to try and test that before it goes away. And we'll go back to you, Harvey, for a transmission, and anybody who has Radio 12, we'll take that as well.
Okay. Well, I'm glad all the questions got answered there. I've been kind of dozing off here and there in the other room, but I woke up in time to check in. So I'm trying to think if I heard any of the questions. There were several about chassis, which radio was which there. Yeah, the Courier chassis, like Courier 23, 23 Plus, they came out with all kinds of little different configurations and such. They have what I think are the Canadian type radios that they sent over the border there. There's a realistic satellite X23B or A or something. I've got that out in the garage, and that's kind of like Cliff Fannin, but the coloring on the front's all different. But basically, the chassis are pretty much all the same, Cliff is correct. His is electronic switching, while I think all the other ones are pretty much relay switching, but it's what it is.
Yeah, and I think Mitch came up with the fact that it looks like it's the Lafayette clones. In fact, speaking of that, let me try something here. Checking the audio, KB6GFD. Mitch, tell us about what you discovered with the 9-tube Panasonic chassis over.
Dennis, and to all the shortwave listeners, Kilo Alpha 3 Tango Echo Bravo 23 Skidoo here via Echo Link, checking in from lovely Aptos, California. Can you repeat the question? I had 2 streams of audio in my ear at once. Over.
Yeah, we were talking about the Panasonic chassis, also the fanfare, which I think you discovered is the what is it, the economy version of the 11 tube radio, where it's like Madman Munch. You pull out a couple tubes, it still works, and it's good to go over.
I see. So the Courier fanfare, the fanfares came in 2 flavors. As we talked about before, the XM2300, the lovely green version, looks very much like an early first-generation radio, but it's actually a second-generation Panasonic chassis where they removed a couple of tubes. I believe in some models, like the Comstat 23 Mark 5 and 6, they actually went to electronic switching and eliminated the relay, and 12-volt power supply as well to reduce cost. And so these are kind of cost-reduced versions to be more competitive as an entry-level product. So they were in the same time frame as the 11-tube version, but were designed to create an entry-level point below the more popular radios that have more features in them. It looks like the Fanon may be slightly different than the Comstat 23 Mark 5. The Comstats had just volume and squelch on them, and the Fanon had the extra, looked like Delta tune control on the front, and also, of course, the new Visitor front end. Over.
All right, very good. Let me drop the transmitter here for a second. All right, wanted to drop the transmitter, but I'm talking to you on Echo Link, so good deal. I think we transmitted that. I'm not sure how on the delay relay is working, but your audio sounds pretty good coming through the speaker here. So back to you. The Old Tube Radio Network in conversation with SWL23 here.
Appreciate it. I'm just operating Echo Link here via a laptop PC. Evening, so no radio actually involved here, but this is pretty straightforward for any of you licensed amateurs out there. Pretty easy to set up, and you can do it via PC Direct, or you can actually use a radio that works through a node. So check out Echo Link if you're not a user. It's a great way to check in. Back to you, Dennis. Kilo Alpha 3 Tango Echo Bravo will be out on your final.
Okay, and I hit the transmit button. I'm using the Samsung phone through the Echolink app through the Wi-Fi, and transmitting simultaneously 27085 over the net and to Mitch. So we'll sign out. So this is the first way that we've done it. I've done a link up with Larry, Radio Ham Guy, before, but it was all through the other computer. So this is a simpler way. I may be able to connect some audio into the audio board and do it that way as well. But let's see, if there's somebody was asking you a question, I might not be able to hear it. So thanks for humoring me here, doing a short transmission to see if this works. I had trouble connecting, but it connected, and you jumped right in. Very good. So another way for people to check in. And you know what? This is a heck of a lot cheaper than when we go up on the satellite link. 73 to you, and we'll go back to the other audio. Thanks, KB6GFD. on the Echolink. All right, Harvey, I think you heard all of that, and that's something you can do as well.
Hi, Roger. Yeah, I can. I've got I can do it on my phone, and then I'm Samsung Tab over here in the radio room now that I listen to the show on, but I have to keep the volume down because it gets a little unnerving because there's a little bit of a delay. But I will be putting Echolink on there, and then I'll be able to do a few extra things also. But the chassis got very interesting. Entry-level radios, slightly different chassis, just so that they could probably market them without infringing on some, not necessarily a patent or whatever it was, but as long as they changed it a little bit, they could get away with doing it, I guess, without having to get licensing agreements or whatever. But it's like several radios that you look at from totally different manufacturers, and they're absolutely the same except for the front. The chassis, everything inside, tubes, it's the same with the exception of what it looks like on the front. So Hallicrafter did that with Sears, and they also did it with RCA. The RCA Mark, is it 7 or something like that, is the same as a Hallicrafter CB, what is it? I don't know if it's a CB2 or something. It's one of those, but they're identical with the exception of the slightly different front. But that's what they were doing back then, and I kind of like it.
Before everything was the homogeneous Uniden chassis, right? It was like you didn't have to think about it. Sort of like what they did with the older cars. You know, a Falcon was sort of like a Comet, but not. And you had all these models, which you don't have today. So it was more fun that way. Add a little piece of chrome, and you've got something else. I think the radios did that as well. All right, Harvey, let me see if anybody else wants to check in. We're saying 73 to a lot of our stations that are staying up extra late because they're losing an hour. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks, Mitch, for the Echolink. Oh, and you know what? We've got another station here. Let me say hello. Before I untransmit here, let me do KB6GFG and say hello to X4000 is on the line. Let's see how he sounds on the very minuscule speaker as he takes a transmission here at OTR. Back to you. Over. He may have stepped away. I think I'm connected. Because I keep dropping the proxy link here. So that could have been it. Anyway. Oh. Okay. Looks like the audio is low. Give it another try. I may have had my audio lower for the other stations. So take a quick transmission over on the Echolink here. Once again.
Hello, radio. Let's see. Maybe it's my fault. Hang on. Let me check.
All right. Well, it's working. So another remote station checking in. Now, if we could figure out how to check the radios in, Dwayne would have his Robin T123 on tonight. Any other stations wanting to get into the Old Tube Radio Network here? Over.
Dennis, if we could check in our Robin here, we'd appreciate it.
Hey, so would I, because that will give us an even dozen radios. Give a transmission on a real radio. Over.
Thank you much, Dennis. I'm on my Robin 123B with an amplified D104, and I think last time we kind of talked about the meter. I know I wanted to light it up, make it brighter. That was unsuccessful. It's working fine the way it is. I've got it extra clean in on the color on the dial on the selector there, the multiple colors. I don't know. It was just probably added for more for beauty than anything else. It could have had just straight numbers on it. And other than that, hey, I appreciate you letting me check in my Robin.
I appreciate you bringing it by because this is our St. Patrick's Day version of the Old Tube Radio Network. And finishing off, or at least putting another green radio in the mix, is a good thing tonight. And that is a green radio, all the way from the stripe across the bottom, the case, and the inserts on the knobs, unless they've fallen off over there.
Oh, no, they're in fine shape. Yeah, they are exactly the color of the radio in the front there. They're very, they're pretty. Just put it that way. And doggone it, the radio is well kept, and the old modulation lights you just a flickering away. But I appreciate it. Thank you, Dennis. And hey, we'll do it again.
Hey, thanks for bringing it by. Another 11 tubes in the bin tonight. Radio 12 at 1020, the Robin T123B. This one courtesy of Chris Callahan in very nice shape. Great sounding audio on, let's see, this is the full 11 tube Panasonic chassis with, I'll have to compare the two, see what they pulled out of that. And there's also a couple of transistors in there as well. And I see there's a schematic and an operator's manual, perhaps, over at oldtuberadio.com. Counting and amounting on the Old Tube Radio Network as the jingle singers tell us what they often do at this late hour.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Okay, well, before I set my clocks ahead or back, whatever we're supposed to do, I'm not sure what they're doing over in the green room. I don't think there's any clocks. They don't want you to know what time it is over there. If you're having a good time, then the time is correct.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final totals for the Old Tube Radio Network brought to you tonight by courteous compliments of D&J Radio Sales. Find them at 228 North Merriman in Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Thanks for your help with the Pocket Protector tonight. I guess I can lock down on the talk bar and say thanks to our listeners and shortwave listeners tonight, where we had 72, 16 on page 1, 16 on page 2, 16 on page 3, and 24 on page 2 on this 5th week of the 8-week roster, and 12 radios tonight where there was pretty much a giant tie for the most heard manufacturer going on until that last check-in for the Brownings, who showed up with 3, but a lot of double manufacturer tonight. Starting off with the Fan and Fanfare XM2300. No one could be as green as that radio was tonight. So setting the bar very high tonight, Cliff, and some people got close. But I think that radio definitely takes it for the green, especially with the addition of the D104 microphonium. Radio number 2, Paul on the General Radio Telephone BB30. I wrote 20. I'm sure that was a A BB30 business band radio. Very, very rare, 1965, but great sounding audio in a good way if you only needed one channel or two channels to put a little extra, what do they say, fire in the wire. Browning Golden Eagle Mark, or the R27 S23. That was the first Eagle. It wasn't even a Mark yet. It was the Eagle had landed back in 1964. Sounding really good tonight. Thanks for firing that up, Eric. Radio number 4. Joe, 60, was on his E.F. Johnson Messenger 223 with the desk mic, a nice sounding audio. And again, the archives are at oldtuberadio.net under the archive button. You've got to wait a whole long time for them to load, but they will, and you can pick and choose where SWL Tube Radio check-in, and of course the videos, I guess, stay up for a while. YouTube hasn't come along and said, what is this stuff? Get this off of here. Followed by back-to-back E.F. Johnsons tonight. The E.F. Johnson Messenger 223 from Mr. Cheerios Kid himself, SWL 84. Thanks, Jerry, for the extra effort tonight. You're sounding good. But we know you can sound better, right? So you're going in the right direction. The Regency Imperial, hooray! The double sideband suppressed carrier AM, upward lower from Paul tonight. My favorite radio, one of my first tube radio, bought for $71 back in 1972. I think I did that. Radio 7, Eric on the Courier Royale. Brought it by tonight. It was found it behind. I think he said he found it hiding behind one of the Brownings. I'm glad he brought it out to the front. Radio number 8, Chris on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. There's not much I can say about that radio. It speaks for itself. Radio number 9, Jerry coming in off the venue tonight, jumping into the radio room and on firing up the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Thanks for that. Radio 10, Chris on the Chris 23 Plus. Another 11.2 Panasonic chassis. From the west side, Harvey on the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. Or is that the Browning Lavatories Golden Beagle? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And then Joe on the Robin T123, heard just moments ago on your old tube radio network. Had a couple of Echolink contacts, so that's sort of working. I never did get the Wires X hooked up, but the main thing was we were checking in your radios, and that's always a good thing. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and Frodex for keeping the Nixie tubes running. And, of course, thanks to all of you out there who, whether it was an air radio check-in or live over the air, we appreciate your efforts on a Saturday evening to keep this old tube radio network on the air. Good night to the SWLs, OTR standing by. Yeah, we're still in there. Hang on one. Let me disconnect a few things here. Over.
Thank you, Dennis, for the net.
And 357's waving a hand out there as well. Good night, everybody. And let's see, it is now, officially almost 11:30. So it's almost, it's definitely past Ovaltine time. And let's see, for those still on, I didn't check HF tonight. Let's see if it's in there. Let's see if anybody's on 40 meters.
I've been gardening, and keeping my own chickens, so I can have organic eggs, stuff like that.
All right, 7195.
It's not gonna be anything.
Talking about chickens.
To be a community that,
nice signal.
Conducive and favorable to this, to what I want to do.
Nice signal on that. Let's see what's happening on 75. Looks like the band is long. The guy's at 3868. They're always on. I think they're out there in Foreland. I'm not sure. Who else is on before we jump out? Any AM activity? Oh, pretty quiet. I think a lot of people are taking advantage of going to bed early tonight. Not even heat and discontent on 3840. Voices at 3843. And all looking good. All right, well, that'll do it for the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks, everybody. Good night from the Old Tube Radio Network. $39.20. Wait a minute. All right, I just saw Richard's post here. Hey, I think I just heard you. Yeah, I hear. I've got some interference going on from like 21 or 22. This is a 40-meter antenna, by the way, Richard. I'm on the 40-meter vertical. Put in the preamp, and I'm going to roll in a little RF gain here. And you're doing good with probably more than 100 left.
Alpha 6, Japan, Mexico, with a delay, internet delay.
Probably a big internet delay. I doubt you would hear me. I'd have to put it through a tuner.
Yes, a very big internet delay.
All right, it's working. You got a pretty decent station here.
Yes, Peter, over last word. Okay, very good. 72. No line. Alpha 6 Japan, Mexico, Mexico, 61.
I think it's at 50 or 60 watts. Not bad. 3920. My noise level with the preamp on is about S7, and I just rolled the RF gain, and the audio is coming through pretty good. So we were worldwide tonight, from Aptos to Brentwood to Wild Wildemar with an actual radio contact, 3920. When I get the 4080 doublet or the wire up, that gives me hope that we can actually have a conversation on this band if it's open. Good night, everybody. All right, that is an extra effort. Night, Chrissy Popcorn, Captain Robert, Johnny Defiant, 23 Skidoo, and Ricardo on 3920. We'll talk to you later. 73 from Fresno.